I feel like it's a waste if most of you don't understand what I've pretty much created over the past few days, over so many hours of trying. So I'm going to give you another example, right? And this time I'm going to use a weapon that has more than just one status. But I don't want to put in too many status because that's just going to make things really complicated. So we're going to do something with impact and viral. In fact, what we're going to try and do is that there are some things that we couldn't change because first of all, we don't have enough capacity to add everything. Like I want to add pressure point. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's add pressure point. But we can't use the prime one because it uses up too much capacity. So we're going to put in the normal pressure point. I think we can make it happen. And then let's say a normal fury. And then we have critical, right? So this is our first case. The second case that we will test against is going to be with 2 dual stat mods. And this time, we're not going to make it into viral. We're going to use 2 dual stat mods that's the different element, which means that we'll probably go for this one. And we get radiation, alright? So radiation, impact, and viral, 3 elements together. And I'm going to show you how to calculate everything, and I can tell you based on the spreadsheet which one is better without even finishing the experiment, right? So let's take a look. We need the critical chance, which is at 18%. So come over here, change the critical chance to 18%. Everything that is in peach or orangey color, you should edit to suit your needs. Or else everything that's blue you shouldn't touch. Everything that's green are information given to you that may be useful for you, right? So that is pretty much how the whole color code system is for the spreadsheet at the moment. Okay, so with this we have our critical multiplier at only 18 because it's double, so that's why it's actually equal to your critical chance. And then for damage we have 1 pressure point in, so it's going to be 120%. So we're going to put here as 1.2. Right, multi-shot, we don't have that for a melee weapon. For elements, we have currently 180 because 90 plus 90, and 60 plus 60 is 120. That will give me 300 exactly. So here we're going to put a tree. Faction mods, we do not have any of that. We could put in one, I think. Do we have? No. Let's not. We could. That's the thing. We could. Let's put one in. Now that I think about it, on my yesterday's video, we killed it too quick to tell how many hits it takes. So that was another reason why I took out pressure point. Not only because of a capacity issue, but also because we couldn't tell because we killed it with too little amount of hits. So I'm actually going to remove that pressure point, sadly. Okay, so over here, we're going to change it back to 0. But technically it's the same thing because it's a separate multiplier. You know, if you have it there and you compare it with something that you also have pressure point on, it's just going to increase the whole thing at the same rate. So it really doesn't matter if you have it or not. Same goes with the faction mods. Now the critical is going to be 0.18%. So you're going to put 18 here. And then we come to the viral status. So for this weapon, we have now 74.8%. But viral is only doing this amount of damage among everything else. So that 74.8% status chance does not just apply to viral. It applies to impact, it applies to radiation as well. It's only the amount of chance that it will proc. So now we need to calculate what is the status chance for only viral in order to get the viral multiplier. Okay, so that is what we need to do. Here we put in the status chance. So in this case we have 74.8. Over here we put in the impact damage, 180, radiation 216. So 180. First element is going to be radiation 216. And then finally we have viral damage 324. So viral damage 324. Now I put here 4 elements. Technically I don't think you can go above 3 elements even if the weapon has its own element embedded in it. But I think 4 elements should be enough. It can be any element, you know, instead of putting like heat, electric, and list down everything now. I just put it like this, so you have to keep track of what is what. So right now our viral is at element 2. And what this pretty much does is that it calculates the total damage, which you can also double check over here. 720, correct. And then after that, it's going to tell you the proc chance of each individual element or status. So in this case, impact has an 18.7%. I believe they changed how the IPS, PSI, whatever you call it, the impact, puncher, and slash thing, how they proc now. I believe they have equal chances of with elements. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but at least in this calculations, they are equal. So from here, you can see that the chance of proccing viral in this case is about 33.6%, which I would say is closer to 35 than 30. So what we're going to do is in this spreadsheet, we're going to look for 35. Now I do have something that I feel like I will probably do offline is to increase the gap in between, because right now it's increasing every 5%, and every so often you get situations where, like in this case, it's a 33.5, right? So basically if I have more intervals, then we can have a even more accurate reading, but because we don't have, we have to go to the next closest one. I feel like 33.5 is closer to 35, so we're going to take over here, right? Now before I start, I do want to know roughly how many hits it takes for me to kill an enemy. This is something that it's not how do I say, it's not something that we want, but then it's something that we can declare, or it's something that we can find out first and then we can compare, because we do need the number of hits. It's something really hard to explain. It's kind of like trying to explain to you what's the fifth dimension, because there's another variable coming in and another variable other than time. And it's hard to visualize something that moves accordingly with so many variables. And in this case, because viral increases depending on the number of hits, so it really depends on how much you want to declare. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one sample. So I'm going to go off this, right, and just see roughly how many hits does it take to kill an average charger. The problem here is when doing this experiment is that a charger, when you pause them and you're using melee attack, the charger will take what we call stealth damage. So you don't want that because it's gonna die really quickly. So we have to do it one at a time. Okay. Okay, so it took us 18 hits roughly. Right, 18 hits. So we're going to come all the way up here. We are going to just use that as a base. So we're going to look at 18. So this is the amount of 18 hits. What we need to do is we need to declare the range. So now the range is under the 35% status chance and go all the way to 18. This is it. Click enter. And over here, how many number of hits that it took is going to be 18. And all the whole thing will actually kind of find out what's the average damage and tell you the multiplier. The multiplier is really just the average damage divided by 100 and then minus 1, okay, because we don't want to take in its original attack. So we got, how much was it? 1.41. So over here I'm going to put the viral status as 1.41. And now we have a value for our current state. So it's about 11 point something. So let's copy this. We'll put it over here as a value just to record. All right. So this one we'll call it two dual-stat. So we put like dual-stat over here. We have two dual-stat mods on, and we got this amount. It's also good to just put in the number of hits that we took, about 18. Right. Now let's find the average, because that 18 is not accurate. Sometimes you're just lucky and you proc early, sometimes not. So let's try and find a slightly more accurate reading for that one. So we're going to do 3 because it's very tedious to summon it one by one. So let's get an average number of the attack. Okay, so we got 18 again. Seems like pretty average. We do have to wait for the combo multiplier to go out. Now the reason how I know that I hit 18, I'm pretty much looking at the combo multiplier. Do note that the Shaku does 50% damage for his first hit. Rather it is the default combo, or if you're moving forward combo, it's the same thing. So now we're gonna summon another one. Make sure there's no more, what do you call, multiplier, combo multiplier, combo count. Okay, 16 this time. Very nice. So actually we can actually stop here. We're kind of trying to save time. So if 18, 18, 16, if you average it out, I would say 17, 18 is still somewhat similar to that amount. Okay, so I'm just for the sake of being a little bit more accurate, so we'll do the averaging equals to bracket 18 plus 16 divided by, sorry, close bracket, divided by 3, right? So it's about 17.33. And I guess taking 18 will do, right? So now let's look at the other situation. And without trying, I should be able to tell you based on the spreadsheet if it's better or worse. So this time, we're going to switch this. We're going to put in critical. It's going to be Organ Shatter, and it's going to be True Steel. Okay, and now we need to look at the changes, and we need to implement it. So with Organ Shatter, with True Steel is 120% extra damage, and critical for 90%, right? So what we need to do here is that make sure that this one is 120%, and this is 90%. So now under critical, I cannot put the default anymore. This is the default without mods. I need to put the one with the critical mods, which is 1.1. I'll say 1.11. So I'm going to put over here 1.11, right? Then when it comes to elements, we have removed two dual step mods, which is 120%. So 3 minus 120%, you're going to get 180% left. So 1.8. Okay, and then finally the viral status. So for viral status now, if you look over here, it's being split into two different damage types, impact and viral, and it has a status of 34. So we do that thing again over here, we put 34. Okay, this time we don't have radiation, so we can remove this. And I believe the viral is still 324. Yes, correct. So now you can see that my chances of proccing viral is about 21.85 or 21.9%, which is close to 22%, which is closer to 20%, sadly. So it's actually a little bit lower if you really want to round it that way, you know, to the highest 5, multiple of 5. So what we're going to do is we will take, it's closer to 20%, so we're going to take over here. And then we're going to compare with the exact number of hits, so 18, right? So this time we're going to come over here. We're going to change the range to this part and 18, like that. And then it's 18 hits. So now your multiplier has changed. It changed to 1.05. So if I come over here and put this to 1.05, okay, and you can see that my multiplier actually increased. All right, so by putting critical in this particular weapon is so much better than having a dual stat mod for status for viral. So in this case, we got 12.11. So let's copy this, put it over here, paste the value, and then we don't really know how many hits it takes yet, but we're comparing with this one, so we put it as the same amount of hits, and then we're going to put this as crit, right? A crit build. So let's go in and see. So technically, based on that, we should take less hits to kill the charger now. Moment of truth. Okay, take out my melee weapon. Low. Okay. 15. Okay, that's our first try. 15. And then we kind of need to wait for it to expire before we get the next one. Okay, almost done. Let's summon the next one. 15 hits. Let's see, how much will this take? Okay, another 15 hits. So it seems like it's leaning towards what we predicted. It is killing it faster. Okay, let's wait a little bit. Again, okay, let's summon it now. Alright. Okay, again, about 15 hits. So on average 15 hits, the other one kind of average out 17 hits. So you can see that there is a difference. So this is 15. This one I guess I should put about 17, right? Okay, so long story short, basically what we have created over here is a way to take into account status like viral into your multiplier. And it's something that us humans can't just assume correctly. right? It takes a lot of trial and error, and if you are really lucky in your trial and error, you may think that it's better, but it's actually not. And what this pretty much does is it proves it in terms of a value that tells you that, oh, this is definitely better because the number is higher. And how do you know that it's better? Because of these reasons. Okay, I think that is all for this video. I feel like again, this is probably going to be a long ass video. I am sorry, but for those that actually stayed till the end and watched this entire thing, I hope you understand what I'm getting to, and eventually we might be able to put other status in other than just viral over here. We can maybe have corrosive status and other things that will give you a certain sort of like a multiplier, and then at the end of the day you can actually fit everything that you want in this column, just this multiplier column, and figure out if your weapon is better this way or that way and how you should mod it. And I feel like that is something that no other, like I've never seen any other calculator could do this. Even in other games, I feel like they don't really calculate status this way. Now, however, if you watch this whole thing and you still don't get the point, or you still feel like it's not useful, I don't really have anything to say. Maybe it just doesn't apply to you, or you feel like there's no need for it. And I am totally fine with it. We can always agree to disagree. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.